All right, everyone. What is up? My name is Stephen Michaels. I am with Phil Robinson. This is the fastest Raiders show online. Phil, how's it going?
It's a lovely day to be talking Raiders once again on this debate of Raider Nation as we cover five of the hottest topics facing the Raiders today.
All right, so let's go through them.
All right, question number one, or actually point number one, the Raiders cut so far. What do you think about that?
Well, I think the cuts, they kind of had to do them. Incognito was a big one, but he'll probably be back. Let's be honest. But they were broke. They had to cut these guys. Now, uh, you know, Gabe Jackson isn't on the books yet, I guess, but that was a big one. They cut a lot of guys in the offensive line, of course, the trade and stuff. But Tyree Williams, we knew that was going to happen. LaMarcus Joyner, no surprises. What do you think?
They had a lot of fat to trim, to be honest with you. A lot of these guys were getting paid and not playing, and the best ability is availability and then consistency. And none of the guys that they were paying almost 10 million were showing any of it. So while on paper initially it was shocking, when you look at the numbers, it really wasn't. It was good contract moves, good cap casualties, because they were able to clear up $40 million under the cap is where they're at now, and they started almost $20 million over. So these cuts were absolutely necessary and give them some flexibility to try to do what they need to do.
Absolutely. All right. Question number two.
Should the Raiders overpay for Denzel Good?
I'm gonna say they might have to. I mean, they traded Trent Brown, which we know. Come on, they had to trade him. That relationship was done. During the season from the IV before the IV, he's a super spreader of COVID. Um, so this guy this guy had to go. Okay, Trent Brown had to go. I don't understand why fans are so mad about the Raiders trading the dude. The guy was he's anytime reports come out that someone's not motivated to play and they're making that much money, you have to get a player motivated. There's no point in having him on your football
No, no, there's really not. In my opinion, no. And I'm gonna tell you why. Denzel Good was a good player, but he wasn't good enough to be overpaid. Teams are cutting a whole bunch of offensive linemen right now, and they're cutting them because they overpaid these guys to begin with. There are quality guys out there that you can get that probably in the $5 to $6 million range, and if you have to pay Denzel Good more than $5 to $6 million, you're overpaying him, and you just don't need to. I mean, they got Kyle Long who came out of retirement for you know what I'm saying. There
team.
are plenty of options available out there so that you do not have to overpay Denzel Good. You if you're gonna overpay somebody, at least get a Pro Bowler or somebody who's been to the Pro Bowl before.
Okay, my whole thing is though Denzel Good, Tom Cable knows him. They can plug that guy in anywhere. But the Kyle Long thing, I really think the Raiders should bring him in just because he's how the Long family. I always thought that though. You know what I mean? I never knew why the Raiders wouldn't bring those guys. All the Long brothers, the cousins. I mean,
Uh,
it's a merchandise thing. Why not bring them in? I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So that's the only reason why I say they should overpay him, just because he knows Tom Cable. Tom Cable knows him. Otherwise, they're gonna be bringing guys in that are brand new to Cable. You know what I mean? He's already got to be working with a whole bunch of new guys. But
True.
it is what it is. Okay, let's go question three.
Question number three: should the Raiders trade the first round pick?
Okay, so here's the deal. We don't know what is going to happen in that draft. We don't know who's going to be available. We just talked about, the Raiders did trade Trent Brown. If they if they're sitting there and there's someone that could be a future left tackle for years to come, I know it's boring. I hate when a team takes an offensive lineman in the first round. But if that guy's available, then you kind of gotta take that. You know what I mean? These left tackles are very rare to get a guy that, you know what I mean. It's pretty slim picking. So If you can find if that guy's on the board, then no. But we don't know what's going to happen, and if he's not, then with the with everything being different, teams are in love with the draft this year. So what do you think?
Well, in my honest opinion, you got to trade for Deshaun Watson. Get him, package it up, trade that first round pick, trade Carr, trade the whole world. Get me Deshaun Watson. Get me excitement. Get somebody to put butts in the seats and somebody who can light up the scoreboard and just bring Raider Nation back to where it needs to be.
So let me ask you a question: is Deshaun Watson better than Derek Carr?
Yes.
Okay, so Deshaun Watson. Okay, let's just play fantasy world right now. I'll tell you one thing right now. Perfect fit for the Raiders. John Gruden runs a West Coast team. It would be perfect for Deshaun Watson. But my only, problem with that theory is like what they would have to give up. You know what I mean? How much the Raiders would have to give up to get Deshaun Watson. If it's just one pick and Derek Carr, the first round pick and Derek Carr, I, you have to do it. In my opinion, you have to. But if it's more than that, if it's going to set this team back, 3 years just for Deshaun Watson, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, look at the Texans last year. I know they had a terrible coach and stuff, but they're not winning Super Bowls every year. But he is fun to watch. He's my favorite quarterback in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you. But I just don't think that's going to happen. But if that did happen, I would be excited. So let's go to question 4.
Hold on. Yeah,
okay.
That was me being funny. But the truth of the answer is this: is that it would depend. The Raiders, in order to get an elite player based off what we've seen for teams franchise tagging guys, in order to get a true impact maker, they're going to have to look at moving that number 1 pick to get somebody. And that's just the long and the short of it. Now, they've had 5 first-round draft picks since trading Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. And let's be real, they haven't done very much with them. So at this point, based off of the draft history from what we've seen and this draft being a crapshoot at best, it would make more sense to turn that first rounder over for an established player that they know can help them win today.
Yes, I will agree with that. Any player, I think, if he's in his prime and the Raiders can get, I would take a current player over the draft right now, just because of the whole COVID situation, the combines, you know what I mean? Everything, it's really going to be a gamble with these first round picks. It really is. It's going to be a lot different this season. So I would take an established player too. But again, if there's someone really good, like I said, like a left tackle, I know it's boring, but it's something the Raiders really need. But they need a lot more help. So we'll get there right now with number 4. So let's go with that one.
They got a left tackle already. Are you cut Miller before he even hits his 5th year off?
I'm sorry. You know what I'm right then.
All right. Question number 4, the most important question of the show. Can Raiders pressure the quarterback in 2021? If I may. The Raiders are currently sitting at $40+ million in salary cap space for 2021. If they can't find guys to come in and pressure the quarterback, they literally should all be fired. There's absolutely no excuse for that not to happen. With all the cap space that they have, with a new defensive coordinator, a proven system, if they can't find guys to get heat on the quarterback, they had 147 pressures last season, which was 16th in the league, but they were 30th in sacks. If they got to get guys who can finish the pass rush and put the quarterback on the ground and continue to throw off timing and rhythm. And with $40 million and a bunch of guys, a bunch of edges out there who can get it done, there's no excuse for not doing it.
Okay, so Phil, are you telling me that the Raiders need a guy that doesn't tickle Deshaun Watson's toes?
That's right. Or kick him in the eye, kick him in the eye and still can't get him on the ground.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem here, is actually getting the quarterback on the ground. And this defensive line is terrible. Let's just be honest here. They can't. There is no pressure. They don't, like you said, they're 30th in sacks. This has to end because this has been a trend. That defensive line needs to be blown up. I mean, that's the truth. They need better players, and they can do that in free agency. Like you said, there are so many players in free agency they can plug in there to make them 100 times better. Yes, they need help elsewhere. We'll talk about in a second, but that defensive line, it's not good. I mean, come on, it's terrible. Carl Nassib, if he's still on the team when this show airs, I mean, that guy was a healthy scratching games. I mean, Arden Key never lives up to the potential. He has great training camps, and then nothing happens. They don't really have anyone. They had Max Crosby. He had a good rookie year, but last year, not as good as his rookie year. But one player, either way, is not going to help you. It's like when Khalil Mack was with the Raiders. Look how better he looked when he first went to the Bears, when the Bears had a loaded defensive line. You know what I mean? So the Raiders need to get better players, and then they can get pressure in 2021.
Absolutely. And finally, current free agents the Raiders should target coming up. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I just told you I think defensive line is very, very important. They need to go after a bunch of defensive linemen. Uh, I mean, pretty much any defensive lineman they can find. Now, realistically, they need to bring in a lot of players. You know what I mean? So yeah, they might get some vets here for 1 year deals and things like that. I'm sure we'll get one or two big names, but they also got to work on that secondary, and they also got to get another linebacker. I would not be surprised if Melvin Ingram ends up signing with the Raiders or Perryman, someone Gus Bradley is familiar with. And then for the secondary, Patrick Peterson's available. I know he's 31, but he's available. It gives you some experience back there. Anthony Harris is a guy that I really think would help the Raiders a lot. They need help, especially at safety and cornerback. They need to get a little bit of experience there. John Gruden wants it. That's how you do it. So those are the guys I'm looking at. Older guys, maybe a 1 year prove it deal. I like Carlos Dunlap if he doesn't resign. But what do you think? Who do you got?
I think we need to get younger. I think we need to get faster, more physical guys who are going to be around for a long time. And just maybe they should try to get it right this time.
Yeah.
You need a number one wide receiver. And right now, I don't see anybody better than Kenny Golladay. They have to sign Kenny Golladay. I almost feel like they should pay him whatever he wants because no matter who they bring in to be the quarterback, Kenny Golladay with everything else that they had with Brian Edwards, with Henry Ruggs, with Hunter Renfro, that's a receiving core that's going to scare the shit out of a lot of people. I also like Carl Lawson and coming off the edge as a defensive end, and I like Bud Dupree and Gus Bradley's defense. There's a couple Chargers that we also could take a look at. Rayshawn Jenkins at free safety. He knows the defense. He was in it. He can help make sure that Abram is lined up properly. He's only 27, so he's still got plenty of years left in him. Denzel Perryman would also be another linebacker who's familiar with the system. I still like Bud Dupree better than Perryman because Bud Dupree is a turnover and a sack machine, which is what the Raiders have been sorely lacking since forever. And and then for the offensive side of the ball, Kyle Long. You mentioned him, and I like it. I like that move a lot. You get a proven guy who's in shape, who's motivated because he's coming. He was literally retired, so he's motivated to come and prove himself, show that he's still got it. His mind is right. Is according from what we've seen from reports. He's down to 315 and looks shredded, or at least much better shape. So Sheldon Rankins. That's another guy that I'd like to see a defensive tackle because the Raiders need, like you said, the complete defensive line, not just edge. So you got to get a big body in the middle, a young body that's capable of collapsing the pocket, taking on doubles and holding up in the run game because the run defense was atrocious this year and was only overshadowed by the pass defense, which was worse.
Yeah. See, I agree. We know the Raiders are going to go after at least one wide receiver. They're going to go after a running back. Booker might re-sign with the Raiders, so I think he will, but they're still going to get another running back. But a wide receiver, which we know Gruden's going to grab. I like T.Y. Hilton. Why not kick the tires on that guy? If it's possible, if it's possible,
Be-
um, why
my,
not?
my thing with
Um,
T.Y. Hilton is the injury history, and the fact that you have that guy. I mean, I guess you could get him to mentor Ruggs, but to me, him and Ruggs are the same type of guy.
yeah, that's why I'm saying that's why I mentioned his name because of Henry Ruggs. You have a guy, Henry Ruggs is not the greatest route runner in the world, but T.Y. Hilton, he isn't either, but he's better than Henry Ruggs at route running, obviously. I just think he would help out, and he's fast. We know what Gruden wants to compete against the Chiefs, right? He wants speed. So some of these guys, who are older, you mentioned, you want young and fast guys. Gruden's going to make sure if they are old guys, which he likes, they're still going to have that speed
Right.
because he wants speed all over the field. So you got to look at guys like that. I think the Raiders are going to target maybe a bigger wide receiver. You know what I mean? Like a bigger guy. But I don't know. It could be anyone. It could be, Sammy Watkins for all I know. I just know they will grab a wide receiver. Hopefully they sign back the alligator because he had a good year. Although it does scare me if they give him a big contract. That just worries me. Um, I think you can if you can't keep him, you can replace him in this free agency with a couple players. Surround if we have Derek Carr as the quarterback, surround him with speed and good weapons. We've seen that Derek Carr can play well when he has a lot of speed around him. No more Zay Jones. That guy was a debacle. And like I said, the drafts they've sucked. Like you mentioned, they've been terrible. They've been absolutely terrible. The only ones they really hit on are like Hunter Renfro. So I don't know. We know John Gruden's calling the shots on the draft when it comes to offensive players. Maybe he should call the shots with everything because Mayock has been terrible with the draft for players. But all the offensive players, they kind of worked out. I mean, Josh Jacobs was really good. I think he's going to rebound. Hunter Renfro, like I said, he's pretty good. Brian Edwards, we'll see this season what we got out of him. That's going to be another big key. Brian Edwards is going to have his season now. They're going to showcase this guy. We're going to get to see how good he really is.
Yeah, and they need to be more selective with the types of routes and the way that they deploy Henry Ruggs. This team ran probably the least amount of slants and quick hitting routes out of any team in the league. I think they threw like less than 20 slants all year long, which is mind boggling to me.
It's
Um,
because they don't trust Henry Ruggs to run a slant. But Derek Carr just overthrows them anyway, so I don't know what the big deal is. But they don't trust him with his slants. But hey, I just want to really quick mention because he's one of my favorite players here, and he's a free agent. Cordero Patterson. Remember he played for the Raiders? I would like him very very cheap, obviously. But imagine they could bring him back and use him as a running back and use him as a wide receiver, use him as a utility guy. That guy to me, I think is really good. When teams use him correctly, he's good.
yeah,
And I bet the Raiders could bring him back very cheap. I guarantee you. That guy's going to go real cheap. But
no, definitely
I just think they need to be more creative on offense, especially in the red zone. You know what I mean? Gruden has failed this fan base now since he's came here.
miserable.
So they need to be more creative. And if they're sticking with Derek Carr, which it looks like they are, then give him the best talent possible. But they also got to make sure they can protect Derek Carr as well.
Absolutely. And which is why I say they should keep Marcus Mariota, restructure him if you must, get him down to about $7, $8 million a year. Because if in the event that something happens to Derek again and it happens earlier in the season and he's out for more than one game, more than a couple quarters, the last thing you want to see is Nathan Peterman for 5, 6+ weeks out of the season.
Listen, you don't know that, Phil. You don't know about MV Peterson. You don't know. Everyone can write their little articles all they want, but no one has seen him on the field yet. We don't know. He could come in and be the next Nick Foles and bring the Raiders a Super Bowl trophy. This guy, we don't know. Gruden's been had this guy in a lab now for 3 years. He's going to be a next Joe Montana. We just don't even know about it. But Marcus Mariota, I think they'll end up releasing him. There's no way they're gonna pay him $10 million. There's no way. The, Derek Carr is the number one paid guy, and then Mariota's the number this season would be the third highest paid guy currently on the roster. There's no way they can keep that up. You can't do that. So they either got to trade him if they can find a team, which the Patriots are out. It looks like because they signed Cam Newton, but who knows? Uh, they got to figure something out. But I just don't think if if he does not restructure, then they have to release him.
But they don't.
So and they already had those talks. So
they're $40 million under the cap with his money. They really don't have
that's
to.
A lot of money. That's a lot of money. I'm telling. There's no way they're just gonna keep paying him that much money.
No,
they're gonna do. There's no way unless. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's John Gruden and it's a quarterback.
Never say never.
It's a quarterback, and we're talking about John Gruden here, so I should never say anything about what he's gonna do with a quarterback. But make a prediction because you don't know that. But I do know they did ask Marcus Mariota already to work out a contract situation. So they are interested in keeping him. You know what I mean? Just for a little bit less money.
Right.
And we'll see if Marcus Mariota wants to do that and play backup again. But if he has a chance to start elsewhere, he's going to ask to be released or he's going to ask to be traded, and the Raiders will grant that. But we shall see, guys. Free agency is next week. Me and Phil will do this next week. Hopefully the Raiders sign 5 players, and those will be our 5 topics. Woo. So we'll find out. Phil, promote all your stuff.
You can find me at writing articles for the Silver and Black today. It's been a minute. I'm going to get back to it, I promise. But later on today at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time, you can join me and the world-renowned Phil Jones as we take over the airwaves and we bring you the Unfiltered Truth podcast. And that'll be on YouTube. You can catch that on our Facebook page at The Unfiltered Truth. And it's going to be a great show. We've got plenty to talk about. We'll touch on these 5 topics and go in even further depth and talk about why Steven is crazy. But it'll be a blast. You'll love it. Tune in. The Unfiltered Truth, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Hope to see you then.
And you never know who's going to call in. You never know.
Actually,
and also,
I actually think that we might open the call. We might roll the dice and open up the call lines today. So God knows where that's going to go. But
Jed from New Hampshire is going to, oh boy. But also, I just want to say that I will be doing a public show, the Raiders Daily Podcast. That will be out next week after free agency, obviously. That will be a big show, and that's it. I don't really have to promote anything because I don't really feel like it. So I don't really care. So anyways, everyone tune in to Phil's show. It'll be really fun. You can find the show, by the way, if you go on my podcast on YouTube, his show's link, our channels are like linked, so you would see his. Just type in Unfiltered Truth with a PH, because that's how you find it really easily. Yep, and they have a really good show. And like you said, you live every Friday night, so tune into that. All right, guys, we will be back next week to discuss the next topics. My name is Stephen Michaels. This is Phil Robinson. We'll see you next week.